getting all my gear prepped the night before I head out for my shore dive. Gauging on where I'm going tomorrow is sort of depending on what gear I'm going to use. I'm going to take my large float boat because I'm planning on swimming maybe about 2 or 3 kilometers before I get to the first spot I want to dive. I'm going to stick with my 5mm top as opposed to my 7mm top. Even though the water's quite cold, I'm mainly going to be diving shallow water and I don't want to have to carry too much weight. I'm going to make sure I take my little key pouch. It's my little dry pouch, so I can undo that, put my car key in it, and that's going to go in my chill bag cover. I've got a top pouch there, and that's where I can put this, my torch if need be, and also I've got a measure and some muesli bars. Gun wise, I'm going to take a couple of guns. I'm going to maybe start off with just my 110 with the reel, which will be my main gun, but I'm taking my 90 as well, which will mount straight to the side of my float boat, just in case I have any issues or need a backup spare gun when I'm out there. I'm really looking forward to it. The weather looks like it's pretty decent. The visibility should be okay. Let's see how I go. I was pretty excited for this dive. Hadn't been in the water for a little bit, and the conditions looked like they were going to be okay. Once in the water, the viz was a little hazy and close, but I was hopeful as I got out further it might improve. Soon enough, I had a nice school of kahawai come past. I wasn't going to turn these down as I was desperate for some fish. If you see schooling fish like kahawai or any of our other pelagic species, it often pays to dive down to the bottom before trying to approach or shoot. They'll tend to be a lot more friendly. Not long after that, there was a little bit more fish action going on, so I slowed down to see if I could find a snapper. I didn't have the camera on, but I found this really nice snapper parked up right in shallow in maybe 2-3 meters of water. Snapper often move right in shallow with the high tide, as they'll go feed on small shellfish, Only a couple rocks later, I spotted this nice panny here. And see, I'm not in a good position, so I've moved myself back and heading further along the rock to try and intercept it. The annoying thing is my gun is a little long for this sort of spearing. It takes me a few goes before I find it again. It's unaware I'm there, and I take a little bit of a rush shot. I don't have my arm extended because my gun's too long, and I clip the top of it. Annoying, but it's a good sign that there's a few fish about. I finally got into some nice kelpy area. Snapper light kelp. This sort of has the perfect balance of white rock and kelp, where you'll get snapper moving around, feeding, and even parking up.
There's a bit of fish action going on, some bait fish. So I decided to put down a quick ground bait. I just really felt like there should have been a snapper here somewhere. I used my Wettie drop weight. I'm able to smash up a few of these kinner. When laying this ground bait, once I've smashed up the desired amount of kinner, I need to move away from the spot. Snapper and other target species will circumnavigate this burley or circumnavigate this spot. I check my watch to see what time it is before I head away. Often I'll plan on coming back to visit in 5 or 10 minutes. I snuck up in the shallows and looked for some other snapper and then headed back to the ground bait. It's hard to see here, but there's some really nice snapper feeding on the kinner. But they're just not quite facing the right way, and they do look a little bit more alert than I'd like. They're moving around over the ground bait and not really feeding that hard. So I make the risky move of actually moving back and having another go. Sometimes this can really backfire, because if the fish see you or see you moving back or hear you, they'll head off and not come back to your ground bait. I do my best to keep right down low so I don't spook them. You listen to this next bit of raw audio as I'm about to shoot this nice snapper. You can clearly hear my heartbeat beating a little bit too loud. You've got to be so mindful of this. Having a loud heartbeat like this or having squeaking sinuses when you equalize can spook fish off. I'm lucky that the snapper was too hungry to notice. To try and negate this, have a good rest before coming up to a ground bait or a nice looking spot. As although it seems trivial, it's very important to keep yourself as quiet as possible. I made another ground bait further along the coast and marked it with my float boat. I take my time to get my heart rate down as I'm pretty excited because I've already got plenty of fish. This smaller panty provides a perfect shot. Even though I had two nice snapper, I did want a smaller one for some sashimi. Being smaller, the flesh is going to be a lot nicer and more tender. At this point, I was almost gutted, as I hadn't been in the water very long and I had more than enough fish that I needed. So I spent the next little bit just watching the schools of kahawai and happy to see nice numbers of good butterfish. Regretfully, I decided I might as well head back, as I should be able to get home in time to cook some of the snapper on the barbecue for lunch. But before going too far, I was quite hungry, so I had a good feed of kina. No need for muesli bars or other snacks when there's plenty of these around and they're really good to eat. One last quick look on the fishy point that I'd shot snapper earlier, and I just couldn't resist this nice goatfish. It was the perfect size to cook whole in either the air fryer or in the oven. An absolutely awesome shore dive in the end. Back home nice and early and plenty of time to prep all the fish, clean all my gear. I do my best not to waste any part of these big snapper, so I'll take off the wings, take off the head, and either cook it myself or I have friends that will take it. There's obviously so much meat in the head and the wings of these bigger fish, so it does pay not to just throw it away. There's some really great shore diving opportunities from now on as we come into summer. There'll be so many snapper, kingfish, and plenty of other species that are super accessible just from shore diving. There's no need for a boat or to head far offshore.